Today, in our discourse class, we're going to discuss politeness. Politeness is one of the conversational features, and it is studied in socio-pragmatics. Politeness may be understood as a specific type of linguistic structure which expresses the speaker's attitude and are thus not applicable by semantic but rather by pragmatic means. This definition is given by Held in 2005. One more definition is given by you. It is linguistic interaction is necessarily a social interaction. Thus, participants don't only convey meaning, but also observe social rules, and the utterances are shaped also by social distance and closeness. A linguistic interaction is necessarily a social interaction. In order to make sense of what is said in an interaction, we have to look at various factors which relate to social distance and closeness. Some of these factors are established prior to an interaction and thus are largely external factors. They typically involve the relative status of the participants based on social values such as age and power. We take part in a wide range of interactions, mostly with strangers, where the social distance determined by external factors is dominant. Internal factors such as amount of imposition or degree of friendliness can result in the initial social distance, changing and being marked as less or more during the course of the interaction. They are typically more relevant to participants whose social relationships are actually in the process of being worked out within the interaction. Both external and internal factors have an influence not only on what we say, but also on how we are interpreted. The interpretation of what is uttered usually goes beyond what was intended to be expressed and includes evaluations in terms of politeness. Therefore, one can clearly observe that much more is communicated than is said during a sociolinguistic interaction. Brown and Levinson suggests that a need to be polite is common to all cultures. In English culture, we may say, pleased to meet you, thank you very much, may I be excused please. And in Uzbek culture, we also have these kind of expressions. Siz bilan uchrashganimdan xursandman, katta rahmat, uzr, kechirasiz. Politeness in an interaction can be defined as a means employed to show awareness of another person's face. In this sense, politeness can be accomplished in situations of social distance or closeness. The interaction between two professors might be friendly, and here the one can address to another by the name. Hey, Bucky, got a minute? The next example is interaction between professor and student. Here, the conversation shows respect. Excuse me, Mr. Buckingham, but can I talk to you for a minute? Here, the expressions and words like excuse me, Mr., but can I talk, show the politeness, the respect to each other. People generally behave as if their expectations concerning their public self-image or their face wants will be respected. If a speaker says something that represents a threat to another individual's expectations regarding to self-image, It's described as a face-threatening act. The speaker can say something to lessen the possible threat. This is called face-saving act, and we can give some examples to these two. Perhaps you could just ask him if he is going to stop soon, because it's getting a bit late and people need to get to sleep. The words and expressions like perhaps, you could just ask if, soften the message and make the close more polite. And the second one, I'm going to tell him to stop that awful noise right now. This is an example to face-threatening act. Other examples, give me that. Give me that is a direct speech act. It can give the impression that you have a social power over the person. And the next one, can you give me that? An indirect speech act in the form of a question removes the assumption of power. While interacting to each other, people have two faces, negative and positive. The need to be independent, to have freedom of action, and not to be imposed on by others, people use negative phase. Positive phase is the need to be accepted, even liked by others, to be treated as a member of the same group, and to know that his or her wants are shared by others. So there are some examples. Examples to negative phase. I'm sorry to bother you. I know you are busy. And the examples appealing to positive phase are, let's do it together. You and I have the same problems. And now let's discuss politeness techniques. What was said and how polite is it? The first example, shut the door. This is an imperative clause, as you know. Here message is clear. Challenge to face negative phase could cause offense. The next example, please shut the door. Here please indicates awareness of politeness, but still could cause a reaction as quite blunt. The next one, could you shut the window please? Command hidden as question implies listener has some choice. This saves face. The next, shall we shut the window please? Use of personal pronoun we implies we're in the same in group, have the same values and are doing the task together. This protects someone's positive face. The next one, it's cold here. So it's not an imperative sentence, as you guessed. No change here. You can always deny wanting anyone to do anything. Message unclear. Response might easily be, is it? Or why don't you shut the windows then? As examples to add to imperative sentence to make them more polite, we can give some phrases like, could you possibly, would you mind, I wonder if you could, do you think you could, would you like me to, do you happen to know? For example, could you possibly close the window please? And the expected answer is not always positive. The listener or the letter can give negative answer, but the answer should also be polite. Here, while answering, you can use some phrases like, I'd love to, but I'm terribly sorry. I'm afraid that's really kind of you, but believe me, I would if I could, but. So, these were examples to soften our message, to be more polite to each other while interacting. And now let's summarize. As summary, I can give the Robin Lacov's summary to politeness in 3 maxims. So the first one, don't impose. The second one, give options. And the third one, make your receiver feel good. And now, if it's clear to you, let's finish our class. Thank you for your attention.